Hey everybody, how's it going? And welcome to the very first episode of Cars and Trucks TV. Today we are out at the Nellis Dunes, which is just north of Las Vegas. This is a great place to get out, do a little bit of OHV. There's some trails, hard packed dirt, there's soft sand dunes, a lot to do out here. But while we're out here, we're going to be talking about this truck that I'm sitting in right now, which is the 2020 Silverado 1500 Trail Boss. One of the biggest questions that I had when I first got this truck was, how big can I go on the tires? And if I go big, how far am I going to have to lift this thing up in the air to accomplish that? I had a hard time finding actual good answers depending on exactly what you had set up. So today, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. How big can you go, wheels and tires, on a Silverado Trail Boss before you start rubbing or having a cut? Let's get started. Okay, so here we are with the Chevy Trail Boss. Now, one thing I want to bring up real quick before we start talking about the tires and what you can fit on here is that if you're looking at one of these, or maybe you just bought one, you should be happy with your purchase and you should probably go through with it, because this right here is a great entry-level way to get outdoors right from the factory. That's what I like about the Trail Boss. It's not going to cost you 80 grand, 90 grand. It's nothing super fancy, but it does what it's supposed to do. This thing's gone off-roading in Montana, Idaho, Utah. Here we are in southern Nevada, and I have not had a problem with it whatsoever yet, and it's taken on trails that it shouldn't be allowed to take on, and it's worked out just fine. So the Trail Boss is a great truck. Just understand that you're getting yourself into a truck that's probably going to need some upgrades if you want to do something a little bit better. So let's go ahead and talk about that tire size. Now, when it comes to tire size, the tires that originally come on this truck are 32s, and I don't understand why they did that. For instance, my family get-around vehicle is a 2021 Z71 Tahoe, and on the Z71 Tahoe, that comes with 33s. So why they would call something a Trail Boss and then put something that's smaller than what comes on my, family Tahoe, I just have no idea. Nonetheless, it comes with 32s. Now, here's the thing. They're 32s, they are 10 inches wide, and they fit. Those will work just fine. If you want to upgrade to something, let's say like a 33, and you want to increase that width, that's when things start to get a little bit sketchy, because these right here are Toyo Open Countries. They're 33 by 12.5. Now, these have a -24 offset, so they do stick out just a little bit. But the problem that I had when I put these on, thinking, okay, it's 1 inch and then you have a little bit of an offset, so they stick out. We might have just a little bit of tire rub, and maybe we can just lift it up a little bit to get rid of that. Well, when I first put these on without doing a leveling kit or anything, they rubbed really bad. And so that's just going from a 32 by 10 to a 33 by 12.5 with that offset. So really, if you want to increase the diameter or the width of your tire, much at all over what comes from the factory, you're going to have to get some kind of lift. Now, here we have a ready lift kit on here. It is an affordable way to be able to get the front about 1.75 inches higher. At that 1.75 inch height, I can now fit these 33s without having any rub or any cutting to the body whatsoever. So the way that I look at it is, if you don't want to lift, if you don't want to put any kind of lift or level on the truck, I would stick with the same tire size and diameter that comes with the truck. You can always switch brands, change to something maybe a little bit meatier, a little bit, better traction on it. What comes with the tire, what comes with the truck really isn't all that bad at all. It'll get you out on the trail. It'll do what it needs to do. But if you want to upgrade, you have to stick with the same size or you're going to get tire rub. That's just the way that Chevy works. They are notorious for having very slender wheel wells, and so not much else is going to fit. If you want to put something else on there without getting a lift, like what you see here, it's going to require a little bit of cutting, maybe not into the body so much. I think I was probably about 1/4 inch into the rear panel when I would have this thing fully turned over. So you're probably not going to have to cut into anything major, but you are going to have to cut like, the little bit of the rear guards and maybe the inner fender liner or something like that. Just minor cuts, but you are still going to have to cut it. Now here again with that 1 3/4 inch ready lift kit on here, it brought enough where I have full movement of the tire, but it's still really close. What I mean by close is it's about 1/8 of an inch away from making contact on the inner wheel well. So again, even with that 1 3/4 inch lift, you already have a 2-inch lift from the factory, and then you're bringing the front up another 1 3/4 inches. And even with that, and the 33s with the -24 offset, I'm coming within 1/8 of an inch. That means when I have this thing turned hard over and I'm in a place like this where I'm going over rocks and bumps and stuff, sometimes I do still make minor contact with the inner part of that wheel well. So again, it's one of those things where Chevy, you're gonna have to lift it up higher and higher for the bigger and bigger tire that you want to go. So for instance, let's say you want to put 35s. Okay, that's another big one that people are asking about. I want to put 35s. I don't want to put 33s. I went with 33s because for me it just made financial sense to do that, get out there. I still have plenty of clearance. I can do what I want to do without making this multi-$1,000 investment in the truck quite yet. But if you wanted to go 35s, from what I understand, and talking to the people who actually installed my lift kit, is you're going to have to go probably about 6 3/4 to 7 inches of lift in order to get those 35s on there without having to make any modifications. Now, if you want to make modifications, you want to cut some stuff out, obviously you can make 35s fit. You can always make them fit, right? It just depends on how much you want to cut and saw into your new truck, or the truck that you like. You don't want to have to cut into it. So again, today we're talking about what you need to do to not have to cut, to not have to modify. And so you're looking at about 6 3/4 to 7-inch lift in order to get those 35s to clear. Now obviously if you want to talk a little bit bigger, 37s, 38s, you're going to have to go significantly higher than that. And even with, let's say, a 7-inch lift, you're still going to have to do some cutting if you want to go bigger than 35s. Again, it's just the fact that these are very narrow wheel wells. And, there's things you could do to mitigate that. For instance, I have a bumper we're going to be talking about in another video here. It's a Fab 4's bumper, and this helps out my approach angle drastically, but it also gets rid of the entire front bumper on the side right here, which allows me as much space as I want for these tires. And if I wanted to go bigger, for instance, if I want to go with the 35 or something larger than that, it's not going to make contact with this front bumper because I upgraded it and got rid of pretty much the entire front of that wheel well right there. But I would have to do some cutting in the back, so it limits how much change I'm going to have to make. But again, you're really limited with Chevy, unfortunately. Now on this channel, we're gonna have a lot of fun. We got trucks, we have cars, we're gonna be in the dirt, the mud, we're gonna be on the track, we're gonna be doing some racing. We might cruise the strip and talk about Vegas a little bit of lifestyle, a little bit of adventure. So if you guys are into stuff like that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit the thumbs up. That really helps the channel out quite a bit. I wanna thank you all very much for watching. Have a great day.